What gremlin's gonna strike us next?
I don't know. We'll figure it out
Yeah.
shortly.
Do I sound like a robot now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone sounds good.
I may
All
be the
right.
only one that looks a little different every now and then, but we'll see. Anyways, we're talking about Twitch. We're going to continue this conversation. So,
I,
Pocky
I,
brought up some really interesting things about it, and
Shyly,
it is
continue
very
those.
toxic.
Well, I think there are, unfortunately, when something gets as big as gaming does, I think, unfortunately, toxicity can be inevitable. But well, especially when you have a larger pool to pull from. Uh, what I was going to mention is that I think that Pocky hit the nail on the head at the very beginning when they said Twitch kind of did it first, made it a smoother experience, and then when they could get as soon as they could start buying up the rights to everything, and getting bigger names and things like that, they did, and kind of made a monopoly of it right away. Like Twitch, I think Twitch did it right first. Everyone was rushing to catch up, and they ran away with it. You know, I think that's why it's so huge now. And they just did it first and better than anyone else, and everyone else has been trying to play catch up ever since.
I don't know if they've done it better, because Mixer, I think, did it better than Twitch.
But they were
And
late. They were too late.
they were late. There's that problem, is when you're late, you can't get caught up.
Yeah.
If we had started this stuff 10 plus years ago, we would have been much better off. But now we're fighting cat videos and everybody else doing it.
Yeah.
I understand that aspect. But also, the game streaming service like Twitch doesn't need to be YouTube. It doesn't need to be on demand channels. It needs to be go live. That's all it needs to be. Go live with your talk show, go live with your video game. That's all it really needs to be. So the fact that they would add channels, I don't think gives them any sort of appeal. Um, I'm baffled that there's no other options that are lasting that
I,
people care about.
yeah, I think the nice thing is I am starting to see Facebook Live get more support. I am starting to see YouTube Live get a little more support. Uh, it's really hard once something's run away with it, like Twitch has at this point in the world we live in. Like once you've got a monopoly, the rest of the system kind of does its best to continue to support that monopoly, or at least you know it's Twitch technically isn't a monopoly. It's not the only live streaming game service, but it might as well be, since that's the only one that seems to matter in the conversation of live streaming games. Uh, so I think that once you have something that's proven to work like this, that the rest of the system just props that monopoly up and leaves everything else kind of in the dust, or it doesn't support it, you know? So there's less risk taking when it comes to even trying other things or developing other things. And unless you have a huge company behind you to back that up, there's not any point in supporting it. Like the only reason Mixer lasted as long as it does is because you mentioned earlier is because Microsoft is behind it. And so somebody else has to take a risk and put a lot of support behind any other one of these streaming services in order to catch up to Twitch. And is there any point in doing that? Is there any point in a big company investing it in anything else aside from Twitch if they want to get into live gaming? From a big company's perspective, no.
No, I agree with you there. And the problem with also Twitch being as successful and kind of the only game in town to do this is they can treat their creators as absolute garbage. That when they did the whole PogChamp changeover, and they had the whole like once a day, 24 hours PogChamp, the new emoji they were going to do for it. Like anyone who became the new PogChamp got like verbally attacked, and they got doxxed, and they have a whole bunch of things to the point of like 3 of the creators who were chosen for the new PogChamp immediately disbanded their channel because of how hard they were getting harassed. And their first person they chose, by the way, was a person of color who was queer. And like, yeah, you guys pissed off the anti SJWs, and that those people make sure your channels can get doxxed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's not more preventative measures there to keep that kind of stuff from happening, or laws that severely punish that kind of stuff. And when it comes to being doxxed, I wouldn't say like punishments need to be that severe, but stuff like swatting does happen, and that like there's not a big enough punishment for it to stop, and that's not Twitch's wheelhouse. It's not up to Twitch to punish people other than like ban them. And how many times can you ban somebody when they just make new accounts and stuff like that? But yeah, the reason it's so toxic is because there's not enough pushback against the toxicity. Unfortunately, you're always going to have toxicity. It's how hard do you fight it, and how.
If the company itself isn't willing to help moderate and help be part of the solution, then there is no point. There will never be a solution. Twitch's mentality was, we gave you this problem, and now you have to solve it. And like they were like, hey, we've got these complaints. They're like, well, we're going to have to review them. And they were like thousands.
I think my biggest thing is I think it'll go to like, what do you think is worth it at this point? Because it's like how we were saying earlier, no matter where you go, then Cynic made a really good statement. It's like the larger pool of people you have, which means once you start out small, start gaining other people, and then you become like Twitch. It's like you can't control how type of people come into the world. Like you can't control the people you interact with. But yes, it's a thing where you can have some control, but it's like how much are you willing to control the people before you start losing, your company, start losing your business and stuff like that. So it's they kind of I've been noticing, like for example, every game that I get onto online, they have a new statement of, respect, we don't deal with race and racial slurs and stuff like that, which has always been a thing online, but now they're pressing it harder because of the current things that are going on in society. But at the end of the day, they tell you, hey, this is how we roll, and if someone doesn't hire to it, report them. But most people, like I said, like I'm on PlayStation, people call me the N word or say some kind of racist Mexican thing all the time, and it's just like, if I don't have the wherewithal to report every single person and have them recorded, then I'm just going to continue playing the game and just deal with the toxicity.
It's good that you bring that up. I mean, just the other day, I was playing Dragon Ball, as I mentioned. I'm way into it. And I saw a troll in there with just the worst, wasn't the worst or most racist thing I've seen, which is unfortunate because it was pretty awful. But I was like, I screenshotted it, took a picture of it on my phone, and like, how do I report this asshole? Yeah. Like, how do I get this off my screen and off anybody else's screen who's either going to be offended or worse, spur somebody else to go, hey, you know what? That's pretty funny. Like, and copy it and that sort of thing, and spreading that kind of crap. So I went online to see, and the thing is I went to PlayStation. The only thing I could do on PlayStation, since it wasn't on their official PlayStation profile, is block them. I couldn't report them for anything since it's not in PlayStation's wheelhouse. It's in Arc System Works wheelhouse to go ahead and fix that. So I went to Arc System. All you can really do is contact them, send an email, and that's about it. It's like, so you have to deal with, like, you can't even deal with PlayStation if it's not in PlayStation's profile, and you have to deal with the game if it's in the game's profile. So when it comes to Twitch, like, I think the big problem here is that Twitch is only a streaming company. They're not a law enforcement company, So how far do you have to go for Twitch to reach out to law enforcement or for law enforcement to get involved? And when you have trolls who are just willing to go out and do stuff like this, they don't, at this point, they don't care because they know law enforcement isn't going to be involved. Fine, Twitch, ban me, whatever. Haha, I already got you, stuff like that. Like, so I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, when you have a bunch of trolls in Twitch, it doesn't physically hurt anybody, so therefore there's no reason for any real.
True.
Well,
It does hurt.
I ignore it. I said most because we're ignoring like swatting, and we're ignoring the fact that it may hurt their bottom line and their wallet, because it's it's at the end of the day it's a business and people are trying to make money, and it hurts that, and it hurts all the time you've taken to put into it. But the cops and anything that's going to be an incentive to keep trolls from doing that kind of stuff, it's not going to get their attention. It's not going to. It's not. Yeah. I've ranted long enough.
The toxic gaming community could be a reason why people aren't creating their own streaming services? Just let them go to Twitch and deal with it. Is it too much of a hassle these days?
I don't think so. I think it has to be in the back of someone's head how they deal with that. It's unavoidable. Once you open yourself up to the internet public, like you're gonna have to deal with the trolls. That's just
it's expected at this point. It's expected. I mean,
it is, and there's also certain types of games and people who attract them. So
yeah, I mean, you can't stop. For me, you know what they say, the old adage is sometimes you can't. Sometimes a thought is worse than an action, and it's like there's people like, for example, my stepson. He wants to become a Twitch streamer, and that's a lot of today's society. So it's like they're already pre-built with the knowledge of, oh, I can deal with this, I can deal with this, I can deal with this. So they kind of I guess they're less, they're more accepting of the toxicity, and it becomes part of the culture. And it's just like one of those things like put up or shut up. And I think that's what splits people at the end of the day, because it doesn't matter how much you care. I mean, like I said, I don't like when people are racist, right? I think that's just the worst, scummiest thing ever. But that's not going to deter me from playing my favorite games because I run into racist people every once in a while, or people who want to troll me using the race card. I'm still going to play the game.
Yeah, and I don't think that's because to answer your original question, Gavin, which was, do you think this stops other companies from making streaming services? I'm with Shyleek. I don't think it does, because at this point you just know you got to deal with it. So
no, that's not the right answer.
I'm not saying
the right answer. It's not you just have to deal with it because we're not stopping it. And we don't maybe feel the effects of it, people do. And
are you siding with Pocky now? Oh man! You're gonna go on your rant now. Go for it.
It's a very bad situation that people will just allow to go. So just because you expect it is not an excuse. Twitch can try to ban people, but it should be banned for life. They have to make another account. They're gonna do it again. They're gonna get that account banned for life. There should be steps that the community takes, because we should not be acting like this. I've said it 100 times. The geek
I agree with you.
Is the most open, accepting, because we used to be the ones picked on. People who play Dungeons and Dragons are picked on. People who play video games are picked on. Now we are the mainstream. We should not be allowing anything to tear us apart from the inside, which is what's happening.
Well, I agree with you, and what I was trying to say earlier is that I don't think that kind of thing should stop another company from being created and trying to compete with Twitch. I just don't think that is the thought that's going to stop them from doing that. I don't think trolls are going to stop another company from going, let me try to compete with fucking Twitch.
I agree with Cynic there. I think it's not the trolls that stops a company from making this system. What's going to stop them is how can they get the talent that Twitch has, and maybe some of the exclusivities that Twitch has, to come to their platform that has yet to be proven. Even DLive, who is proven, can't get those numbers.
Well, I mean, that like I said, I think we all have a piece of the pie that connects to make everything sense, because that comes back to, like I said, who's streaming. I think we can all agree, when Ninja was on Mixer, he made Mixer. When he left the Twitch, it fell apart and Twitcher came up. So it's like it depends on who's following you or like what you're known for.
Ninja left Mixer when Mixer died. Not he didn't leave and then Mixer died. Mixer got pulled. You got to remember the day Mixer got killed, nobody saw it coming. It was a
it came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere, really.
Yeah. Mixer. It wasn't like, oh, Ninja left, now Mixer dies. It was Mixer announces that because of something that happened. The only thing they're telling us is it's because some really racist bullshit that happened in the background that was apparently so bad. Microsoft said, we have to salt the earth. At that point, they gave Ninja his contract, they gave him his signing bonus, and they said, go where you want, we can't hold you. And they gave everybody 30 days to get over. Twitch at that point said, hey, if you're a partner on Mixer, we'll make you a partner here. You already proved there, you can prove here. Mm-hmm. So when Ninja left, it was after the corpse got made.
Yeah, but then it's still, but he had the option to go anywhere he wanted to, and he still chose Twitch, and everyone went to Twitch with him because he easily
Which
was.
One went to YouTube?
Doctor Strange. Oh, not Doctor Strange. Doctor Disrespect. I think he went to YouTube because he has a lot of YouTube stuff. He does YouTube and Twitch. Ninja, from what I remember, he was heavily considering YouTube, but what caused him not to join up with YouTube was what I was saying about YouTube seems to have all the problem childs, and he didn't want that for his image. He openly said that on the stream. So he was like, I don't want that image, so he went there.
Yeah, the biggest other problem with YouTube is YouTube has become the corporate shill. Like you said, you were doing a legit video using publicly provided press material from Marvel to talk about a show, and and you have to deal with trolls, and you have to deal with corporations who just see somebody using one of their images or one of their videos, even in a legal sense, totally fine, and YouTube will side with them every time. It is your job to prove that you did break the law, and there is no consequences for them being wrong, other than, well, we're sorry.
Yeah, I remember that because when we first started, IGN was trying to claim everything we did. And I was like, no. And it was music. I was like, our music is original. It was made by a man in this house. I can prove it. They finally stopped letting IGN block all their stuff. But music is the biggest thing that people like to jump in and claim. So when I saw them claiming silent video clips that were just part of a show that they were talking about, I was like,
yeah,
oh, come on.
Well, a lot of people have talked about how YouTube has gotten so unbelievably huge that its there's no earthly possible way for its workforce as it is to monitor and take everything. So they have to rely on the algorithm to flag stuff.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately just it's out of hand, and it's something you really have to deal with as a YouTube content creator. It's really hard, unfortunately.
Well, they also don't check if someone who's claim-making. So there's a bunch of companies.
Well, yeah, they have to like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say there's a
man.
I did a Star Wars video game stream one time. I played Jedi Academy 2, and I had 48 copyright strikes on music, and 5 of them were for companies that didn't exist. I had to go look them up. It's because they were claiming to be the copyright holders of Star Wars music.
Yeah, I've had that plenty of times.
So
there's a Jedi Academy too.
That too. But yeah.
Did you not know?
Yeah.
There is no Jedi Academy 2, but I do understand that you were playing a Star Wars game and they were copyrighting the Star Wars music.
There's a Star Wars Jedi and Jedi Academy 2.
There's
Are you going to argue over this?
I can pull it up.
I'm just gonna say there's no Jedi Academy. There is a Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and then Jedi Academy was, I think, Jedi Knight 3 technically.
Yeah, and then they go Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy 2. It's weird. It's odd. But yeah, no, it's the fact that there are people who can make claims that they own the copyright. YouTube doesn't look to make sure, like Google doesn't go, okay, do you? Show us the paperwork. They go, oh, okay, sure, you own the copyright. All these channels
Yeah,
do is go
it's
out and
pretty
claim
sad.
their own copyright. It doesn't even have to be a real company. It just be some guy claiming it.
And maybe that's another thing people are starting to get deterred from is they see all these things with copyright issues and people want to get involved and how you have to pay out, partners, and maybe it's okay that Twitch is the only one that's doing it.
Well, I mean, the other problem coming with in going on a little YouTube, the other problem with YouTube is becoming corporations are using it to silence criticism. Someone makes a video about like how something's bad, and then the company do a copyright strike, and now you have to like deal with them.
Yeah. So there is no real answer. We get Twitch, and that's what we get.
Well,
and that's probably all we're ever gonna get.
Well, the answer is that I think if you're going to make a live streaming thing right now, what is people's biggest complaints about Twitch, if indeed people's biggest complaint about Twitch is the toxicity, then you create a live streaming service where the main goal is to push back on the trolls and punish the trolls and not allow that stuff whatsoever. The problem with that kind of business plan and or marketing, if you said, hey, here's a live streaming service and you know what, come here, there aren't any trolls, then that is going to incentivize every troll on the planet to crash that whole party.
Yeah,
so,
it is. I was just playing WoW. Which has been in WoW's been in what, for like 30 years or so.
Yeah,
and
it's insane.
There's an option. There's an option in the chat to where you can bleep out censor out offensive words. So it's like even in that setting, it's like, I mean, we're all pretty intelligent. It's like if you see something like asterisk ending this and this, you kind of configure what you're saying. So it's like there's only so much you can do. I mean, like I feel like sometimes it's hard for us as like a gaming community, definitely within the show, to differentiate like life problems from the beginning of life to specific video gaming. And I feel like toxicity is a life issue. I don't think it's a gaming issue. It's just there's toxic people in life, and you meet them in real life, and sometimes you meet them in video games. You can't control people. I mean, we're Americans, and we take our freedom of speech hardcore. So I mean, there's only so much you can do at this point. We're very limited. I think it's a personal issue amongst people to just be better people. I mean, that's all we can ask is like, don't be a jackass. Stop being an asshole. Don't say this. It's offensive to this. But people generally don't care. Like, you have a group of people like us who we care to a certain degree about each other, so we're willing to not say.
What do you mean to a certain degree?
Like that. Huh?
What do you mean to a certain degree?
I mean, like, what do you mean?
We care about each other to a certain degree. Like,
no,
I secretly hate you.
No, like a certain degree, because we have a certain friendship, we're willing to actually care about how we present or what we say to each other. But it's like outside of this inner circle, people don't give a fuck, and that's real life. Like, people do not give a fuck. They're gonna say racist shit, sexist shit. They're gonna say do shit. Like, that's just how the world goes.
The nice thing is that I've always believed in my time and
what the fuck is wrong with your microphone again?
Am I a robot now again?
Yeah.
So I have a question then. Do we then allow it to get to the point of making people's lives so fucking miserable that they rage, they have to leave for physical and mental health reasons the hobby and subject they love? Do we allow a woman to leave the gaming community because she got sexually harassed and verbally harassed so hard she has to leave the thing?
We're way off topic now.
Yeah, we are.
No, we've talked about toxicity before.
Because we're swinging back to the all-encompassing topic, which is understandable. It's a fight worth fighting for sure.
Boy, I'm gonna burn your computer.
I have to say this, Shelly. You have Monsters. You have a Monsters Inc. or something behind you poster.
Yeah.
It keeps your app keeps turning Sully's face on and off. So as you're talking, Sully keeps coming on.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Twitch is what we're stuck with. Toxicity is just part of life, even though it shouldn't be.
Nope.
There's better ways to handle it.
Because they don't handle it
Basically,
at
what
all.
our summary of the show is.
Gaming industry is a horrible, toxic piece of shit.
We're not going to go down that road again.
Damn
Damn it.
What? That's the lesson
Okay.
I always learn every episode.
We will set up an episode for you to talk your heart's content about that. But this episode is done. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We're going to get back to our game streaming schedule soon. But we'll be back with you guys in 2 weeks, hopefully with no technical problems. So everyone say bye.
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 Later,
Oh, you're
guys.
a
Now Cindy's
robot.
back. Oh, you still